look at the examples, but I'm going to go to the problem sets. There's a lot of examples. Okay. I don't know the difference in a fundamental and the non-fundamental problems. I can't really tell. Okay. So I'm just going to start in on one of these. So it says water is flowing through a triangular channel having the cross section shown. If the average velocity is 3 meters per second, what's the volumetric discharge? So what I'm looking for is the area here, which that just, oops, he's complicated things by doing things like this. So the area of this triangle if I were to shoot, I don't know, increase it more. So if I were to look at that, that would be 0.2. This would be 0.5. So this distance would be distance ratioed to 0.4 as 0.2 is to 0.5. So my distance, do I have MATLAB up? Yes, I do. Give me a second. Okay. Oh, lost the screen. 0.4, okay, 2/5 of 0.4. .16. So I actually have a triangle, which I should have drawn that the other way, which is 0.16, 0.4. Let me 0.16, yep. Looking for the area there, but we'll have this area again produced over here. So essentially I got 0.4 times 0.16 is the area total area in blue. Now he says the velocity average is 3, so the volumetric flow rate is the area times the velocity average, or 0.4, 0.16, and 3 from right there. So these problems aren't terribly different or terribly difficult. Oh, but we've got an issue here. Okay, now this is not exactly correct, because he has shown that this area is this, and my normal that comes out is like that. And the angle difference between them is 30 degrees. In other words, he has shown that this is the projection line here, this here, and this here. So a person way back over here sees this as the geometry. The flow rate is 3 meters per second this way, but you have to dot it with this normal, and the difference between them is 30 degrees. If in fact it were 0, it would be fine, but it's not. It's 30, so it's 3 times the cosine. So this basically is a cosine of 30, because the value you see there. Now, this one's so weird that I'm going to go see. I don't know if I can find the answer in the back of the book. I see that I'm on page 195. 4.1. Do not know. Let's see. Okay, looks like I'm going to have to figure out. I know how to maybe do this. Open it again. A new tab. The old tab will be written on. The new tab will not be written on. Now, should be able to go to the back. Answers to selected problems. That one was 4.1. He says 0.166. Now I probably, okay. Okay, 0.4 times, and I've got to keep going back and forth, 0.16 times 3. Now that was if you got that, but you have to multiply times cosine in degrees of 30, 0.1663, which I believe 0.166. So we got that one. So 30 degrees caught me off guard, because actually the flow is tilted down from the area that he shows right there. So that is a pretty good problem. So now, oh, trash. Okay, I tried to figure something that okay, determine the average and volumetric discharge in the terms of Umax, the plates have a width of W. That would be into the board. So this is problem 4.7. So essentially, the area coming out looks like this, where W is here. Looks like here's B. So in essence, what the equation has is a velocity, depending on the book you see, dotted with a normal times d area. So essentially, you're going to integrate from here to here, and you could integrate the rest of the way, but it turns out that, from my impression, that triangle will be the same as the one above it. So if I were integrating for this face, meaning this, where the velocity comes out like this and it comes across, then the volume of this chunk, this half chunk, is B over 2. That would be this distance times U max. Would be this distance, or this distance, times W. Now you're going to have 2 of those. So you're going to have W, B, or B, W, U max. Average velocity will be as if it's exactly half of that. So U max over 2 is going to be the average. Whoops. So if that's the case, multiply. Oh, so I'm just going on times B times W. Let's see. This is 4.7. Oh, he has H. He has an H in there. Where is his H? His H, I don't know what his H is, but I do know that's the case. I don't know where his H came from. I see no H.
Is it 2 times B over 2?
Yeah, the only thing I can think of is maybe that. But we know the bulk, the average is going to be that. I may just jump onto another one. I'm trying to get to the ones that have the, I just got distracted by some of the earlier ones. We're going down to the ones that have multiple inlets and exits. Well, I wasn't looking for one like that, but
That's quite a lot of inlets and exits.
Okay, something like that one. Or there we go, that's even a better one. But it'd be nice to have them split twice. But I don't see anybody. Oh, there we go. Oops. Okay. When you shrink it down, the problems move around. Okay, where did it go? Am I going up or do that. There we go. One more. Okay, water flows through the pipe with the average velocity shown, outlined in the control volume that contains the water into the pipe. Indicate the open control surfaces and show the positive directions of their areas. Oh, okay. Also indicate the directions of the velocities through these surfaces. So that's easy enough. So there's the control volume itself. Those are the exits, but the control volume actually goes around the whole thing. It's just there's nothing coming out of there along the sides. So this is the control volume. That's the control surface, actually, of the volume. The positive normals. So there's your normal. Or he's saying the positive direction of their areas. So you could say this is, so apparently in this book he likes to see the areas as a vector. So there's your area as a vector. There's your area as a vector. Then the velocity vectors would be going this way. This one's going in, and this one's coming out. So if you were looking at it, this would be C, this would be B, this would be A. So if you do a mass flow, I mean, we don't know the area, but you could say for A, so if you start with A, V dotted with area. So essentially what you're supposed to do is sum over all those, and that's supposed to be equal 0. Or actually, you're supposed to have a row in there. But we'll go ahead and put the row in there. So essentially, we'll say row A for this location, VA dotted with area at A plus row B, VB dotted with the area at B plus row C, so we got 3 of these, velocity C dotted with area at C, and continuity says those all have to be 0. And the question is, if I
And the values for A and B are going to be opposite sides
right.
of C.
Yeah, so what you're going to have, this one is going to be in, this one is going to be in. So if you dot those two, so if you say VB dotted with the area B, you're going to get a negative because it's supposed to be, they're 180 degrees apart. So the cosine of 180, you know, if you look at the plot, it goes down to a -1 there. So you get a negative velocity at B, whatever that magnitude is, times the area at B, whatever that magnitude is. If I write through that, oh, it writes behind it. Okay, can you undo that with Control Z? Oh, you can't. Oh. Okay. So that's a negative. Since these go in opposite directions, that's a negative. These go together, that's positive. So what you end up with is minus row A, VA, area at A, minus, since this is B and it's going in opposite directions, B, VB, whatever the magnitude is, whatever the magnitude of area is there. But then the C is the only thing that's going out. So those become positive since, you know, two vectors, you could have velocity of C and area of C. Since they're going out, you know, technically VC dotted with AC is equal to the velocity at C magnitude, area at C magnitude, and the cosine of the angle between them, which in this case is going to be 0.
So cosine of 0 is 1.
Yeah. So that's how you get the plus there. And then you get just rho C V C AC. So this is a weird way of doing what you did before in that mass is equal to mass out. But this time we want you to keep track of the positive directions and the open controlled surfaces. He didn't ask us to do this, but the reason he's doing this is to do this eventually. So there were not as many numbers there as I was hoping, but we can go find another problem that has multiple inlets. Okay, so let's see. The water flows through the pipe at 60 kilograms per second. Then out of B with a velocity of 4. Determine the average velocity at which it flows in through C. Okay, so this is a reasonable one. So following the little rule, and I like to follow the rule because next section you really do want to follow that rule. Hey, so I'm assuming this is a circular pipe, so its area is pi d squared over 4. So I'll do first I'll do the whole thing. VA dotted with area at A plus VB dotted with area at B plus VC dotted with area at C. Since there's only 3, that's got to all be 0. So now if I dot these and I look at A, opposite directions give you a minus. So minus whatever the velocity at A is, pi, I might just want to list that as 0.1 meters. So 0.1 squared over 4, pi d over 4 is the area. Pi d squared over 4. Okay, then I'm going to B, which is over here. This is going the same direction as that, so that's plus VB. And area is bigger. And then these are going not in the same direction, or a better way to say that is in the opposite direction. Opposite direction, V, C, whatever the velocity of C is, pi, okay, this should be 0.06 squared over 4 equals 0. You guys make sure I got that. Got my 100, got my 160, and I got my 60. Now the water flows through the pipe at A at 60 kilograms per second. So it turns out, okay, so A, turns out this whole thing this whole number is 60, because that, oh wait a minute, that is kilograms per second. Okay, so if I just did in SI units, I did this would be velocity would be meters per second times area of meters squared. So it'd be cubic meters per second. If I'll have water, I need to have a density in front of it. That will give me 1,000 kilograms per per meter to the cube. So technically, now looking back at this, put a row in front of each one of these terms, and the row value is 1,000. Then that first number with the row should be 60. So in fact, this should be, so if I just copy that down, it should be 60 minus 60 kilograms per second. Oh, it says the at with the velocity of b. Okay, and then out of b with the velocity of 4. So that would be plus 1,000 kilograms per meter to the cube for density. Velocity, he wants the velocity to be 4 meters per second. So this is the density, that's the velocity, and then the area is pi 0.16 squared over 4. That is the, so this is the exit at B, and then minus 1,000 velocity C. I'm running out of room, but I could say maybe pi 0.06 squared over 4. So this is this term right here. It's just sort of cramped up. So the only thing I don't know is velocity of C. So I can move, and this was all, the mass is conserved, so it's all 0, which means I can move that one over to the other side. So I would get 1,000 VC pi 0.06 squared over 4 is equal to, I'll take that number first, which, what the heck, I might as well, I've gone this far. Let's see, 1,000 is 4,000. Okay, so 4,000 times pi times, what was the diameter there?
0.16?
Yeah, 0.16
Squared.
0.16 squared divided by 4, 80.42. So that's going to be 80.42, and I'm moving that and then taking 60 off, so that would be 20.42 times 4, because you bring that over. Where the 4?
Yeah.
So what I'm doing is, okay, so here, let me do a one step.
No, I see the 4, I see it.
Yeah.
I was making sure it wasn't the 4 meters per second down here.
Oh,
Right,
okay.
Sorry.
That's okay. So here, 0.16 squared over 4. So now my VC should be 20.42 times 4 divided by pi 0.06 squared and 1,000. Okay, so I have no clue what that's going to be close to. Okay, 20 point, okay. Okay, so if I take this number, V, okay, wait. Go up 1. That was going to be my 80, so I'll say V is equal to 60 minus that. No. It was going to be that minus 60. So that's the 20.
Put that in parentheses or minus?
Well, what I'm trying.
It's a 20.42.
Yeah, I'm trying to get the 20. Now I'm going to say V times 4 divided by pi divided by 1,000 divided by whatever that other number was.
0.06 squared.
Yeah. 0.06 squared gives me 7.22. Let's see that. So I get about 7 Or was it 7.02 or 2?
7.22.
Okay, so
If you go to 368, it'd be 250.
so if I go, okay, 439. Jump quite a bit.
Yep.
7.22. Okay, so, oh wait, okay.
So it does have the quote unquote answers.
Yeah.
Some of them.
Yeah, it has them in the back in this thing. That's why I opened another tab, because with this tab, the writing gets stuck with it. And I figured if I open another tab, the writing is not. So there's writing. It's kind of interesting. It says writing here associated with that web page. And so I can kind of eliminate that. Go back to, wait, the other one there. Still, all that writing is still there.
You don't have to erase as much.
Yeah. And that, if you do this, I mean, so what happens is the writing stays on top, and then it's really confusing reading the stuff behind it. So then I can maybe just select all that, and then it's gone. Oh, what is this? If the water flows, mass flow. Oh, okay. So I think the asterisk means they don't. Yeah. So there's no answer to that one. Okay. Oh, here's another one with multiples. Kind of. I don't know. I don't want to do that one. I don't want to do that one too. It looks funny looking. It looks like a robot on an old 60s. Okay, wait a minute. What do we got? Drilling fluid is pumped down the center section of the well and rises up in the annulus. Determine the velocity of the fluid forced out of the well as a function of the diameter d of the pipe. If the velocity of the fluid forced in the well is maintained at v n is equal to 2, neglect the thickness of the pipe. Yeah. Ooh, there we go. Oil flows into this pipe with an average velocity of 0.2. Where? Oh, through A. Okay, wait a minute. Okay, let's see if I can see it. Average velocity of 0.2 in. Okay, the voice into the pipe at A. Okay, that's right here. At 0.2 meters per second. And through the pipe with and through B, through. Does that through mean it's not in?
I think it's coming out of.
Yeah, so I would interpret that as being out. Meters per second.
When you can't figure out the problem, you know you can't get it right.
Yeah. Determine the maximum velocity at that top of the oil as it emerges from C if the velocity distribution is parabolic, listed like that, where R is in mu. Okay. I bet this thing, yeah, it only works on the page itself, which is good because I can use all this page. Actually, a little circle disappears behind that. That's interesting. Okay, so what we've got is the equation itself says integrate around the entire control surface of V dot. Now, he apparently likes that. Okay. Now, he says oil. We actually don't necessarily need the density. So the volumetric flow rate times the density is equal to m dot. That's kind of a definition. So if I drop this off, this is not really m dot. This is the volumetric flow rate, which is okay because it's oil and the density is the same here as it is there as it is there.
There's no added fluid other than the oil. Like we're not mixing anything.
Yeah. So let me get all this out of the way. And then what this means is I can start at, apparently this looks like A, this looks like B, and this looks like C. So if I look at A, he says the average velocity, okay, A being in, this being out, and this being out. So it's my areas. So this one will be, oops, this one, since it's opposite sign, will be negative. Signs together, in other words, the area and the velocity are going the same way, and the area and the velocity are going the same way there. So what I can do is I can say point.
Because it's coming out at point C as well.
Yeah, it's coming out at C as well.
Yeah, okay. All right.
So 0.2, I'm going to convert these to meters, times pi 0.3 squared over 4. And since that is that way, it becomes a minus, plus, this is the velocity over here, 0.15 times pi times 0.2 squared over 4. Now, here's the key, plus the integral of the velocity, which is this. Okay, I'm just going to use, I'll use Vm, 1 minus 100 r squared d area, but the d area is going to be 2 pi r dr, because if you think about it, see if I can do a good job of drawing a circle. Okay. Here's a circle that's dr apart, and you're going to integrate that from 0 all the way out to the edge, which is that far, or half of that. And this is your little ring of area that goes all the way out to eventually the outside ring. So the little area is 2 pi r dr. So I can do this and put in 2 pi r dr. But the first thing I want, and this is all supposed to be equal to 0. First thing I want to figure out is, what is that number? Because in reality, it's probably going to have to go to the other side of the equation and become positive, because you got 0.2, 0.3, 0.15, 0.2, so it's going to be negative over here. Go to the other side, it'll be positive. So what is that number? Let's see. How to do this? Oops, wrong one. Okay, wait. Okay. 0.15 times pi times 0.2 squared times 0.2 squared divided by 4. That takes care of that one on the right. And then minus 0.2 minus 0.2 minus 0.2, there we go, times,
you've left the 40 in there instead of 4.
How'd I get that extra digit in there? Okay, times, what was the 0.3 squared divided by 4. Did I cube it? Okay. I think we're okay. What does that number end up being? Oh gosh. Okay. Point 00942. Okay. Okay, let's see. So now if I take that, it's a minus point. Good grief. 00942. 00942. 77796. Now, is there a way I can do this so that...
Does that sound right?
I don't know. Because the thing is it's going to be pretty tiny. Yeah, it's going to be pretty tiny. And what's going to happen over here, I can take this 2 pi out and operate on it. Or I can just, what I'm going to do is integrate this thing in MATLAB. So in other words, if I took this up here and I made this symbolic, 0 to this radius, which is not 0.2 but 0.1, Vmax 1 minus 100 r squared 2 pi r dr is going to be equal to the positive version of that. 0.00942. The beauty is MATLAB will carry all those digits. So I'm going to basically go back to MATLAB here, and I'm going to say this thing is going to be the right hand side equals to, and I'll put a minus sign in front of it so I can get the negative, the positive version of that. Now, what I'm going to do SYMS, symbolic variable of V, M for Vmax. And now I'm going to integrate, I think that's integration. Here, let's try this. Integration R squared. Now here's what we'll do. I'm just going to play for a minute. I just want to make sure I can play. Here, I need to have R in there. So I'm going to do an integral of R squared just to see if I get this. Okay. Now let's see if I do integral from 0 to 1. Okay, so that's the limits. So now what I want to do is I want to integrate.
0 to 1 or 0 to 0.1?
Yeah, so I'm just playing. I played for a couple times just to make sure that I remember I and t was the integral.
Okay.
So now I'm going to do this. Vm times, what was it? 1 minus 100 r squared minus 100 times r squared times 2 times pi times r integrated from 0 to 0.01. Was that right?
Yeah, I won't say it's 0.01.
Yeah.
Because
0.1. 0.1. Yeah.
Yeah, 0.1.
Yeah, because this was a...
Not 0.01, sorry.
Yeah, that's okay. Oop. Okay, so now I get an integral of that. So now I can take 200. You know what I'll do? I'll do this. I'm going to do this. Equals to, or I'll say this, minus the right-hand side. That is interesting. So the right-hand side, and that's not too intriguing or interesting because, so I say it was interesting, but you got a pi right here, a pi right here, and a pi right here. So what you find out is all these pi's are pulled out, and you find a pi right here, and then a pi right here. So now, if I look at this, this is supposed to be equal to 0, So I can get out the pi's, and I'd have Vm over 200 equals to 3 divided by 1,000.
Is it 3 or 2?
3. This is 3. Yeah. So Vm is going to be 2 times 3 is 600 over 1,000, or 0.6, roughly. So let's see. 449. 0.6. There it is. Okay. What happens if I do that? Okay, so if I do that, highlight it in red. It actually didn't highlight it. Uh-oh. Oh, okay, how do I get rid of the highlight?
Delete highlight.
Oh, oh, okay. So if I highlight it, delete note permanently. Are you sure?
It just means it deletes the highlight.
Okay.
It won't let you edit the book. It'll let you edit how you marked up the book.
Yeah. So that was a decent problem. I mean, I guess I could do some. I like the ones with multiple inputs, though. I guess I could do one that didn't have multiple inputs. But actually, we're at the end of the time anyway. Here, just out of curiosity, just so I can see the page. And hit the trash can. Let's see what else I see. Well, they've got a lung thing there. This guy likes hearts and lungs. There's something. Little equation there. Okay, there's something. That's oil going through. It looks like the same Star Wars looking vessel. But with different. Oh, okay. Could come back and do that one later. That one. That's the same picture.
Huh. Okay.
We got him a shot right there. Some sort of thing there. I don't know why. There's something. Heat exchanger.
Go up just a little bit.
What?
A little bit taller. Or farther up the page, just a little bit.
That
A little
one.
bit more. Keep going up. Is that like a pop-off valve on like a butane tank or something?
Might be.
Keep it from blowing up. It's kind of what it looks like to me.
The tank contains air. Using a valve, the air escapes with an average of, yeah. If the volume of the tank is that, determine the rate of change of the density air within the tank at that instant. Is the flow steady or unsteady?
I had a butane tank pop-off valve get weak on me.
Oh, did it fall off?
We filled it and it decided to let it go.
Oh.
Yeah, that was scary. Sitting out back in your house, having a little fire in the yard, and all you see.
Did it catch on fire?
No, it didn't catch on fire, but it blew up in the air, but it
Yeah.
didn't catch. Luckily.
Yeah, that would have
And
been not.
you're sitting there holding. You think you're about to blow up.
Yeah.
First thing that goes through your head. But yeah, don't want to do that again.
No.
Also, they overfilled the pressure on the tank when they filled it up.
Oh, really?
Yep. In the summertime, you're not allowed to like fill them over a third of the way.
Yeah.
How hot they get. Well, he filled it up 2/3 of the way, so it just